The sky above the alien city burned with silver light. Tall towers rose like black spears, their shadows stretching across the wide streets. In the center of the city, a lone figure stood on the highest balcony. Her name was Saris, and her eyes glowed like molten gold. She was not human. She was not machine. She was something in between. An ancient race forged for battle, raised in chains. Saris clenched her fists as the memory came again. Humans. Their ships had crossed the stars long ago, bringing promises of peace. But peace was a lie. Her people had trusted them once, and they had paid the price. Laboratories, cold steel rooms. Screams of her sisters as scientists pulled them apart, trying to understand the secret of their strength. Saris had been young then, but she remembered the smell of fire, the sound of her mother's voice fading away. That was the day she made her vow. She whispered to herself, the words carved deep into her soul. Never again. I will never obey a human. Not their orders. Not their lies. Not their promises. Her vow was not just words. It was her shield. It was the only thing that kept her alive in a galaxy ruled by human greed. The city beneath her was quiet, almost too quiet. She turned her head sharply when a faint sound broke the silence. A distress beacon. The signal was weak, flickering in her mind as the message translated. Human vessel. Damaged. Requesting aid. Saris froze. Her heart pounded with old rage. A human ship here near her world? She should ignore it. Let them burn in the void. Let them suffer the way her people had suffered. But curiosity was a dangerous thing. The signal repeated, soft, desperate, almost like a whisper. Against her better judgment, Saris opened her eyes to the stars. Far beyond the atmosphere, broken metal drifted. A ship. Its engines were dead, its hull cracked. Through her enhanced vision, she saw flames still burning inside. And then, she saw him. A human. He was standing at the shattered viewport, blood on his face, his uniform torn. He looked straight into the void, straight into her direction, as if he somehow knew she was watching. Their eyes did not meet, yet Saris felt a strange pull. She shook her head. This was madness. She owed him nothing. She should turn away, but she did not. Instead, she leapt from the balcony, wings of energy flaring from her armor. The city lights vanished below as she pierced the clouds and rose into the silence of space. The damaged ship grew larger in her vision. Alarms screamed inside its corridors as air hissed into nothingness. She landed in the wreckage, her boots striking metal. The air was thin, the lights dim. She smelled smoke and burning wires. Step by step, she moved deeper into the ship. She found bodies, human crew, already gone. She almost smiled until she heard the faint sound of breathing. The captain was alive. He lay slumped against the wall, one hand pressing a wound on his side. His eyes flickered open as she approached. She expected fear or hatred or the usual human arrogance, but instead, he looked calm. You came, he whispered. His voice was weak but steady. Saris narrowed her eyes. I did not come for you. I came to see the one who dares disturb my world. The man gave a faint smile, blood staining his lips. Then you saw me. Now you can leave. His answer caught her off guard. No order, no command. Just words, quiet almost. Respectful, she frowned. This was a trick. Humans always had tricks. She should kill him now, end it before he could say more. Her vow burned inside her chest, and yet, she did not move. Something in his eyes stopped her. He was broken, dying, yet he did not beg. He did not curse. He only looked at her like he had been waiting for her all along. Saris leaned closer, her voice cold as steel. You are human. That means you are my enemy. Yes, he said simply. Then he closed his eyes as if the truth did not matter anymore. Her hands trembled. She hated that they trembled. She could end him with one strike. But instead she found herself asking, why are you here? Why did you call? The man's eyes opened again. He whispered, voice fading. Because I know why your people hate us, and I know the truth they hid from you. The word struck her like a blade. Her chest tightened. Truth? What truth? Her vow screamed inside her, do not listen. Do not obey. But curiosity was stronger. For the first time in her life, Saris felt fear, not of death, but of the answer he might give. And as she stood above him, torn between her vow and the strange pull in her chest, the alarms of the ship blared louder. The hull cracked again. Time was running out. She should leave. She must leave. But she stayed. The ship groaned as if it were alive, metal screaming under the pressure of space. Sparks jumped from broken wires, dancing across the dark corridor. Cirrus moved carefully, her golden eyes glowing faintly in the smoke. Behind her, the human captain still breathed, though his body was weak and broken. She hated herself for it, but she carried him. His arm rested on her shoulder, his weight slowing her every step. She could have left him to die, yet something in his strange calmness had chained her will. "Why?" she muttered under her breath. "Why am I doing this?" The human coughed, his voice dry and low. "Because you are not like the others." Her steps froze. For a second she thought he had read her thoughts, but his eyes were half-closed, unfocused. Still, his words cut deep, like he already knew her better than she wanted him to. They reached an open chamber, half the wall torn away, revealing the endless black of space. Stars shimmered like cold fire beyond. Cirrus dropped him onto a piece of unbroken floor, her gaze sharp. "Speak," she ordered. "What truth do you think you know?" The man leaned back, his breath heavy. "My name is Captain Rylan. I don't have long. But you must know this, not all humans are the same. Some of us fought against what they did to your people." Cirrus laughed bitterly. It was not a joyful sound, but sharp and cruel. "Lies, I was there. I saw your kind take my sisters. I heard their screams. Do you think your words erase that?" Rylan did not argue. He only nodded slowly, as though he accepted her anger. Then, with shaking hands, he pulled something from his jacket, a small, glowing shard of crystal. "This," he whispered, "is proof." The shard pulsed with light, images flickering across its surface. Cirrus leaned closer despite herself. Shadows of humans appeared. Meetings, secret councils, orders signed by men in uniforms. She saw experiments, chains, blood, but then she saw something else. Humans fighting humans. Soldiers storming labs, freeing prisoners. Men and women dying to stop the cruelty. Her chest tightened. This was not what she expected. She had built her whole life on the belief that all humans were monsters. But here, before her eyes, was evidence that some had resisted, that some had tried to protect her kind. Her vow echoed inside her. Never obey. Never trust. Yet the crystal whispered another truth. Not all enemies are the same. Cirrus closed her hand into a fist. She hated the confusion. Rage was simple. Hatred was pure, but this was dangerous. Before she could speak, the floor shook violently. A deep rumble tore through the ship. Outside in the void, shadows moved, small machines with glowing red eyes. Enemy drones. Their metal bodies slithered through space like predators. Cirrus cursed. The drones were programmed to finish survivors, erase all evidence. If they found the crystal, the truth would vanish forever. Rylan's eyes widened as the drones began tearing through the wreckage. "They've come," he said weakly. "If they get this shard, everything is lost," Cirrus snarled, drawing the blade from her hip. It gleamed with energy, a weapon older than most human empires. "Stay here. If you die, it will not be by their hands." She leapt through the broken wall into the open void, wings of light flaring from her armor. The drones swarmed, red beams slicing toward her. She spun, slashing through them with speed and precision. Explosions rippled across the empty space, scattering fragments like sparks. But there were too many. For every drone she cut down, two more appeared. Their weapons burned her armor, forcing her back toward the broken ship. Inside, Rylan tried to stand. His body betrayed him, but his mind was sharp. He grabbed a piece of broken pipe, using it like a weapon, and struck at the drone that breached the chamber. Sparks flew as the metal beast fell. Cirrus landed beside him, panting, her eyes locked with his. For the first time, they fought together. She struck with her blade. He moved with quick orders. "Left! Above you! Now strike!" She realized with shock that she was listening. Her body obeyed his words before her mind even thought. It felt natural, as if they were two halves of the same motion. And when the last drone fell, silence returned. Cirrus stood over the wreckage, chest rising and falling. She looked down at the human, blood still dripping from his wounds, yet his eyes steady on hers. "You fought beside me," she said, voice low. "You gave orders. And I obeyed." Her vow screamed in protest. She had sworn never to bow to a human. Yet in the chaos of battle, she had followed him without hesitation. The wreck of the human ship drifted like a dead beast in the void, its broken hull glowing faintly against the stars. Inside, the air was thin and heavy with smoke. Cirrus stood with her blade in hand, golden eyes fixed on the man she had just saved. Captain Rylan leaned against the wall, his blood-soaked uniform torn but his gaze steady. The battle with the drones had ended, yet silence now felt more dangerous than gunfire. Saris wanted to walk away. Every part of her screamed to leave him here, to return to her world and keep her vow. But the crystal shard pulsed faintly in his hand, glowing like a heartbeat, and with each pulse she felt her certainty weakening. "You said this shard holds the truth," she said, her voice sharp. "Prove it." Rylan nodded, though pain twisted his face. He pressed the shard to a small device on his wrist. A projection bloomed in the air, flickering images of meetings, battles, and betrayals. Saris narrowed her eyes as scenes played before her. Humans in polished uniforms stood around a long table. Their voices echoed coldly. "The alien soldiers are too strong. Capture them. Break them. Learn their secrets. They are not people, they are weapons." Saris's teeth clenched. She remembered the cages. She remembered the burning lights. This much was no surprise, but then the images shifted. Other humans appeared, ragged soldiers, their faces lined with anger. They stormed the laboratories, guns raised, shouting to free the captives. They fought not against her kind, but against their own. One scene showed a human woman breaking the locks on a prison cell. Another showed soldiers gunned down as they tried to stop the cruelty. These humans bled, died, and sacrificed to fight the same monsters Saris had sworn to destroy. Her breath caught in her chest. "This was not the story she had been told, you see?" Rylan said softly, his voice weak but calm. "Some of us fought for you. Some of us paid with our lives. But history only remembers the chains." Saris turned away sharply, her heart pounding. She hated the unease twisting inside her. Hatred was simple, but this made the world uncertain. "If this is true," she said coldly, "then why hide it? Why has no one spoken of this fight?" Rylan's eyes darkened. "Because the ones in power silenced it. The council erased the records. They wanted your people to hate all humans, so you would never trust us again. Fear and division make control easier." The words sank into her like knives. She thought of her vow, repeated like a prayer for years: never obey a human. But what if that vow was born from half-truths? What if the enemy was not all of humanity but something darker, something hidden? Before she could answer, the ship trembled again. A faint hum filled the corridor. Rylan's eyes widened. "They're coming back," he said. "The drones never stop. And if they follow the shard's signal, the council will know it survived." Saris hissed. She hated being cornered. She hated the idea of running. But she knew he was right. Staying here meant death. "Where must we go?" she demanded. "To the outer relay," Rylan replied, forcing himself to stand though his legs shook. "If we broadcast the shard there, the whole galaxy will see the truth. They won't be able to bury it again." Saris glared at him. "You expect me to risk everything for a human message?" Rylan held her gaze, his eyes unflinching. "Not for me. For your people. For the ones who died in silence." His words cut deeper than her blade ever could. Against her will, she felt something dangerous stirring inside. Respect. She hated it. Before she could speak, a sharp screech echoed through the wreck. More drones. Their red lights pierced the smoke, crawling through the corridors like hungry insects. Rylan reached for the shard, but Saris snatched it first. Her grip was iron, her eyes blazing. "I will deliver this," she said coldly. "But hear me, human. I do not do this for you. I do this to burn your council to ash." Rylan gave a faint nod. "Then we fight the same enemy." Saris pulled him to his feet, and for the second time she bore his weight as they moved through the broken ship. The corridors shook with enemy fire. Sparks rained down. She cut through metal walls to carve a new path, her blade glowing like a star. At last, they reached the airlock. Beyond it, the endless void stretched toward the outer relay, a journey filled with dangers she could not yet see. Saris paused, her vow burning in her mind. Never obey a human, and yet here she was, carrying one, fighting beside one, protecting one. It felt like betrayal, but somewhere deep inside, another thought whispered, or maybe it is not betrayal at all. The airlock opened with a hiss. Together they stepped into the unknown, and behind them the wreck of the ship finally broke apart, swallowed by fire and silence. The stars stretched endlessly as Saris's ship cut through the dark. It was a small craft, stolen long ago from a forgotten battlefield. Its engines hummed with power, carrying her and the wounded human toward the outer relay. Inside the narrow cockpit, silence pressed heavier than the vacuum outside. Cirrus sat at the controls, golden eyes fixed on the glowing path ahead. Her fingers tapped the console with sharp precision. Behind her, Captain Ryland leaned weakly against the wall, the shard of truth hidden close to his chest. He broke the silence first. "You saved me again." She did not turn. "Do not mistake survival for mercy. You live because you are useful. Nothing more." Ryland gave a faint smile, though pain etched his face. "Sometimes usefulness is enough." Her jaw tightened. His calmness was infuriating. Even bleeding, even broken, he carried himself with quiet strength. Most humans she had met barked orders, demanded obedience, reveled in power. "But Ryland," he asked, he suggested. It was strange. It was dangerous. The ship jolted suddenly. Warning lights flashed red across the console. Cirrus cursed under her breath. "They found us," she hissed. Through the viewport, shapes appeared, sleek hunter ships, their sharp wings glinting like blades. They belonged to the Council's private fleet. These were not drones. These were living pilots, trained killers. Ryland pushed himself upright, his face pale. "They'll never let the shard reach the relay. If they destroy us now, the truth dies with us." Cirrus's grip tightened on the controls. "Then we fight." She dove the ship into a spiral, laser fire slicing past them. Explosions burst across the void. Her hands moved with precision, weaving through death with every turn. She was a warrior in the stars, her body and machine moving as one. But the hunters were fast. Too fast. Their formation closed around them, pressing like a cage. Ryland's voice broke through the chaos. "Open the rear cannons." Cirrus snapped back. "You dare give me orders?" "Not orders," he said, his voice steady. "Advice. You fly, I'll fire. Alone we die. Together we live." Her vow screamed inside her chest. She had sworn never to obey a human. But survival had its own logic. She slammed her fist on the console, unlocking the rear controls. Ryland stumbled into the gunner's seat, gripping the handles with bloody hands. His aim was not perfect, but his mind was sharp. Left. "Drop altitude." "Now bank," he called. For a heartbeat, she considered ignoring him. Then instinct cut through pride. She moved exactly as he said. The ship spun low just as Ryland fired. His shot struck true, ripping one hunter apart in a blaze of fire. The blast lit Cirrus's face. She realized her heart was pounding, not from fear but from the strange rhythm they shared. She flew, he fired. She dodged, he struck. Together they were more than either alone. But with every movement, with every word, she felt it, the breaking of her vow. She was obeying. The hunters pressed harder, their numbers overwhelming. Ryland's voice came again, quick and sharp. "Climb high. Cut engines for 3 seconds, trust me." Trust. The word tasted bitter. Cirrus's mind rebelled, but her instincts, they whispered otherwise. With a growl, she obeyed. She pulled the ship upward, then cut the engines. For 3 terrifying seconds, they drifted silent, dead in space. The hunters overshot, their weapons firing into emptiness. At the last instant, Cirrus reignited the engines. Ryland's cannons roared, tearing through 2 more ships. The silence after the explosions felt deafening. Smoke drifted through the cabin. Cirrus's hands trembled slightly as she steadied the craft. They had survived. Ryland slumped back in his seat, chest heaving. "You see? Not obedience, partnership." Cirrus turned slowly, her eyes blazing. "Do not twist this. I did not obey you. I calculated. That is all." But even as she said it, the words rang hollow. Her body had followed him before her mind decided. Ryland gave her a tired smile. "Call it what you want. But when the fire came, you trusted me, and I trusted you." Her glare lingered, but deep inside she knew he was right. The warning lights dimmed and the path to the outer relay cleared. The stars opened before them once more, a narrow chance at survival and truth. Yet Cirrus felt no peace. She felt something worse, doubt. Her vow, her shield, her only certainty, it was cracking. She looked at Ryland, the human she should have hated, the human she should have killed. And instead she had fought beside him, followed his voice, and lived because of it. Her vow whispered, "Never obey a human." Her heart whispered, "But what if this one is different?" Cirrus turned back to the stars, her voice cold, though her hands shook. "Do not think this makes us allies, human. When this mission ends, so does whatever this partnership is." Ryland closed his eyes, too weak to argue. Yet she caught the faint curve of his lips. as though he knew the truth already. And for the first time, Saris feared not the enemy ships, not the council, not even death. She feared herself. The stars ahead glowed brighter now. In the distance, the outer relay shimmered like a giant wheel of silver, turning slowly in the dark. It was a vast station, older than most empires, built by no one who lived today. Across the galaxy, it was known as the one place where all signals could not be silenced. Once a message was sent through its core, every corner of the stars would hear it. That was their goal. Deliver the shard. Expose the truth. Saris piloted her ship through the empty lanes of space. Her hands were steady, but her heart was restless. Behind her, Captain Ryland sat weak but awake, his eyes locked on the shard of crystal that glowed faintly in his palm. The relay is close, Saris said, her voice low, but so is death. The council will not let us reach it. Ryland leaned back, his voice quiet but firm. That's why we can't stop now. If we don't deliver this, they win. They'll rewrite the galaxy again. Saris did not answer. Her vow echoed in her mind, mocking her. Never obey a human. Yet here she was, flying into danger for his mission. She wanted to tell herself it was only for revenge, only to burn the council. But deep inside, she knew the truth was more complicated, and she hated it. The ship drifted through a field of broken satellites, their husks glowing faintly with old energy. Saris scanned the shadows carefully. She knew this silence. Too quiet. Trouble, she muttered. A second later, the trap revealed itself. From the dark corners of the field, ships emerged, council interceptors black as knives. Their lights cut through the debris. Ryland tensed. They're waiting for us. Saris smirked coldly. Good. Let them try. She pushed the engines, weaving through the wreckage. Lasers sliced past. Metal tore apart around them. The sound of battle filled the cabin once again. Give me targets, Ryland shouted. His voice was hoarse, but his mind sharp. Saris hesitated for only a breath, then obeyed. Left wing above the tower husk. Ryland fired, his shot tearing one ship apart. The explosion lit the debris field in white fire. Again and again they moved together, her flying, him striking. The rhythm returned, the dangerous rhythm she swore she wouldn't feel. Every command, every word she followed without thought. And every shot, every strike, he trusted her flying completely. For a moment, it felt less like battle and more like something else, like they were part of the same breath, the same pulse. But war leaves no room for peace. A blast struck the side of their ship. Metal screamed. The cabin shook. Saris gritted her teeth as the warning alarms blared. They're trying to disable us, she growled. They want us alive. Ryland's face hardened. They want the shard. The enemy ships closed in. Too many, too fast. Saris's pride told her to fight. But logic whispered another path. We can't win here, she admitted through clenched teeth. We must run. Ryland nodded, though his face was pale. Then to the relay, she punched the engines. The ship shot forward, ripping through the last of the field. Behind them, the council fleet pursued like predators. Hours later, after the chaos faded, silence returned. The relay grew larger on the horizon, a giant wheel glowing against the void. They had escaped, but only barely. Inside the ship, the cabin was dim. Saris checked the controls, her body tense. Ryland sat across from her, holding the shard close. Why risk your life for this? She asked suddenly, her voice sharp. You are dying already. You could have let the truth die with you. Why fight for my kind? Ryland met her gaze. His eyes were tired but steady. Because what happened to your people was wrong. And if I do nothing, it will happen again to others. Maybe to mine, maybe to yours. Silence is a weapon, Saris. I won't let them use it again. Her chest tightened. She wanted to mock him, to laugh at his words. But she couldn't. His tone carried no arrogance, no deceit. Only conviction. Her vow trembled inside her. For so long she had lived in hatred. Now this human, bleeding and weak, spoke with more honor than the generals of her own kind. She turned away, afraid of her own thoughts. Do not think your words change me, she said coldly. I swore a vow. I will never be slave to humans again. Ryland gave a faint smile. Then don't be. Don't obey. Choose. That's all I ask. The words hit her harder than any weapon. Choose. Not obey. Not serve. Choose. For the first time, Saris wondered if her vow was not strength, but a cage. As the relay loomed closer, their sensors lit with red warnings. A blockade waited for them, council warships larger than anything they had faced. The path was sealed. Rylan looked at Saris, his voice calm despite the doom before them. We'll never break through alone. We'll need help. Help? Saris scoffed. From who? My people would kill me for fighting beside you. Maybe, Rylan said softly, but maybe some of them are as tired of lies as you are. She stared at him, anger and fear swirling together. His words planted seeds she did not want to grow. Ahead, the relay shone like salvation and death. And Saris knew the true mission was not only the shard. The true mission was herself. Would she keep her vow or break it for something greater? The answer waited in the battle to come. The outer relay loomed before them, a silver giant turning slowly against the black of space. Its ancient rings glowed with hidden power, waiting to carry any message across the stars. For Saris, it was the finish line. For Rylan, it was the last hope. But hope never comes without a price. As Saris guided the ship closer, alarms screamed again. A shadow moved across the viewport. Sleek, black warship sliding out from the relay's shadow. The Council's blockade. Their cannons glowed red, hungry for blood. Saris cursed under her breath, hands tightening on the controls. They were waiting for us. Rylan's voice was calm, though his face was pale. They won't let the truth out. They'll kill us before the shard reaches the relay. Before Saris could answer, another signal cut through the chaos. A voice, cold, familiar. Saris, the voice said. You shame your people. Her heart froze. She knew that voice. She knew it better than her own. From the shadows, another ship appeared. Sleek, sharp, marked with the symbols of her race. And standing on its bridge, projected into her cabin, was Kale, her brother in arms. Once her closest ally. Now her judge, his eyes burned with fury. You swore a vow, Saris, never to obey a human. Never to kneel to their lies. Yet here you are, carrying one like a wounded child. Saris's throat tightened. You don't understand. I understand enough, Kale spat. You fight beside the enemy. You protect him while our people still suffer. You have become the very thing you swore to destroy. Rylan tried to speak, but Saris raised a hand, silencing him. Her chest ached with shame, but also with anger. You don't see the truth, Kale, she said. This shard. Kale's laugh was bitter, sharp as glass. The shard is poison. Human tricks. They've broken you, sister, and now you will be judged. As if on command, Kale's ship fired. The blast tore through space, shaking Saris's vessel. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Warning lights screamed. Saris spun the controls, dodging another strike. Rylan staggered, gripping the shard tightly. His voice was strained. He'll kill us both. No, Saris said, teeth clenched. He wants me alive. He wants me to pay. Another blast rocked the ship, forcing Saris to crash land into one of the relay's docking bays. Metal shrieked as the vessel scraped against the floor. When the ship finally stopped, smoke filled the cabin. The doors burst open. Armed soldiers stormed in, her own kind. Their weapons glowed with deadly light. Saris raised her blade but froze when she saw Kale step through the smoke. His armor gleamed, his eyes hard as stone. He looked at Rylan with pure disgust. This human made you weak. He made me question, Saris snapped. He showed me things our leaders hid. Kale's lip curled. Lies they trained you to doubt. They turned your blade against your blood. The soldiers dragged Rylan forward, forcing him to his knees. Blood dripped from his mouth, but his eyes stayed locked on Saris. Choose, Saris, Kale said. His voice cut through the silence like a blade. Kill him. Prove your vow still means something, or betray your people forever. Saris's heart thundered. Her vow echoed inside her head. Never obey a human. She had repeated it for years. It was her truth, her shield, her strength. Now it was her cage. She looked at Rylan, broken, bleeding, yet calm. He did not beg. He did not plead. He only whispered, do what you must. Her hands trembled. She could end him now. One strike and her vow would live again. Her people would forgive her. Kale would stand beside her once more. But deep inside, another voice rose. The voice she had tried to silence. The one that whispered of partnership, of choice, of something greater than hate. Saris's blade lifted. Kale's eyes burned with satisfaction. Then Saris whispered so softly only Rylan could hear. I will not bow, but I will not kill you. Her blade spun, not toward Rylan, but toward the soldiers. In one swift motion, she cut them down, sparks of energy filling the docking bay. Kale roared in rage. Traitor! Saris turned, eyes blazing with golden fire. No, Kale, not traitor, free. The fight exploded. Soldiers swarmed her, but Saris moved like a storm, her blade singing through armor and flesh. Rylan crawled to cover, clutching the shard like a lifeline. Kyle charged, his own blade clashing against hers. Sparks flew as brother fought sister. Steel against steel, vow against choice. You were my sister, Kale shouted. I still am, Saris growled. But I will not live as a slave to hatred. Their blades locked, energy crackling between them. For a heartbeat they were frozen. Two warriors, one choice between them. And then Saris shoved him back, her blade striking with fury, born not of rage, but of freedom. Kyle staggered, wounded but alive. His soldiers fell silent around him, his eyes filled with something worse than anger, betrayal. You will regret this, he hissed, retreating into the smoke. The council will hunt you until the stars burn out. Saris stood over the bodies, chest heaving. Her vow lay shattered at her feet, broken forever. Behind her, Rylan pulled himself up, eyes wide. You chose. Saris turned to him, her voice heavy but steady. I broke my vow. Not for you. For the truth. For choice, Rylan nodded weakly. Then the galaxy still has hope. And as the alarms of the relay screamed louder, Saris knew there was no turning back. The relay's core chamber glowed like a star trapped inside steel. Rings of light spun endlessly, feeding power into the ancient machine that could send truth across every world. The hum of its energy shook the floor beneath Saris's boots as she entered, blade still dripping with the blood of her own kind. Rylan stumbled behind her, his body weak, but his hand clutching the shard. His breath was ragged, yet his eyes burned with purpose. This is it, he whispered. Once the shard reaches the core, the council can't bury the truth again. Saris scanned the chamber. High above, towers of metal rose like teeth. Around them, alarms blared, echoing her brother Kale's words. The council will hunt you until the stars burn out. She clenched her fists. The vow she once lived by was gone, shattered in the docking bay. What remained was something fragile, something untested. Choice. And choice was heavier than chains. The doors behind them exploded open. Soldiers stormed into the chamber, weapons raised, eyes blazing with hatred. They came not only from the council, but from her own race, warriors she had once called family. Saris's chest tightened. These were not faceless enemies. These were her brothers, her sisters, those who still believed in the vow she had broken. Rylan tried to move toward the core, but he staggered. Saris caught him, her blade flashing as she struck down the first wave of soldiers. Go, she shouted. I'll hold them. But Rylan shook his head. His voice was hoarse but steady. Not alone. We do this together. The word burned inside her. Together. Once it would have been unthinkable. Now it was the only way forward. The battle raged. Saris moved like fire, her blade slicing through armor and steel. Rylan stayed close, giving directions, finding weak points, striking when he could. They fought as one, their rhythm sharper than ever before. But the enemy was endless. For every soldier that fell, two more stormed in. Saris's strength began to fade, her arms heavy, her breath short. Kyle appeared again, his armor scorched but his will unbroken. His blade gleamed as he stepped into the chamber. Still you fight for him, Kyle spat. Still you betray us. Saris met his gaze. No, Kyle, I fight for the truth. For freedom. Can't you see? Freedom? Kale's laugh was sharp. You call slavery freedom. You bow to him already. Look at yourself. Saris's chest ached. His words cut deep, but not as deep as before. Because she knew now. Choice was not the same as chains. She raised her blade. I do not bow, I choose. That is what you will never understand. Their blades clashed again, sparks raining across the chamber. Around them, soldiers fought, the relay trembled, and the shard pulsed in Rylan's hands like a heart waiting to beat across the stars. Kale's strikes grew wild, fueled by rage. Saris parried, countered, but each blow shook her to her core. She was tiring. Kale was not. Then with a brutal strike, he knocked her blade away. It clattered across the floor, sliding out of reach. Kyle's eyes blazed with triumph. It ends now, sister. Saris fell to her knees, breathless. For the first time in years, she felt powerless. The vow she had lived by was gone. Her blade was gone. Her people had turned against her, and then she heard a voice. Not Kale's, not her own, Rylan's. Stand, Saris, don't stop. I can't do this without you. His voice was weak, but his words were steady. and something inside her shattered again, not in despair but in fire. She remembered her vow, the one she had broken. She remembered the chains, the hatred, the endless rage, and she realized this was not the end. This was the beginning. With a cry, she surged forward, tackling Kyle before his blade could strike. They crashed into the floor, their helmets clashing, their bodies locked in struggle. Kale snarled. "You are lost!" "No," Saris growled. "I am found." She tore his weapon from his grip and drove her fist into his chest, knocking him unconscious. His body fell still, his face twisted in disbelief. The chamber fell silent. The soldiers, seeing their leader defeated, hesitated. Some lowered their weapons. Some fled. Saris rose, chest heaving, her golden eyes blazing. She turned to Rylan, who still clutched the shard. "Now," she said, "finish it." Together, they placed the shard into the relay's core. The rings of the ancient machine spun faster, brighter, until the entire chamber shook with energy. Light burst from the crystal, flooding the station, pouring into the endless stars, and then the truth was free. Every world, every people, every corner of the galaxy saw the proof. The Council's lies burned away in the light. The history they had buried was alive again. Rylan collapsed, the effort too much for his broken body. Saris caught him, lowering him gently to the floor. "You did it," she whispered. "No," Rylan said, his voice faint but calm. His eyes met hers, steady even as they dimmed. "We did it together," her chest ached. She had vowed never to obey a human, never to bow. And she hadn't. She had chosen. Tears she never thought she could shed burned her eyes. For the first time she felt something stronger than rage, something she could not name. "Don't stop now," she whispered, clutching his hand. "Don't leave me!" "Tell me what to do next, please. Don't stop leading me." The words tasted bitter and sweet all at once. She had begged him, not as a slave, but as a partner. Rylan's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Then don't stop fighting. Promise me that." "I promise," she said, her voice trembling but firm. And as the relay's light spread across the stars, Saris held him close. Knowing her vow was gone, her path was new, and her choice was her own,